Hello.
Hello there.
Hi, how are you?
I'm a busy girl.
I see that. Oh my gosh. I'm busy just like you.
Yeah, we're all busy. Everybody's life is busy.
Yes. So, the matter of the meeting with you today is, I decided to do the right thing, and to work with Chief and Council, and not shut the band office down because that was my plan. But then I talked to a couple of elders, and they suggested that maybe we give you the opportunity to work with us.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say us, I'm talking majority of the people that have feedback as far as feeling that maybe Chief and Council isn't meeting their needs in the community.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of the topics I've talked to you about already.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them has come up about, number one, the 10,000. A lot of people are happy with the 10,000, but they're not happy with the amount. Maybe they feel that they should have a say as far as a referendum vote on the legacy trust, how much to put in the trust, and also the percentage to put in there, and also they want say on that, like how much to put in there.
Okay.
So could I get some feedback on you as far as how you feel about that, Karen?
Well, for myself, as you know, I'm not a voting member on what amount goes in there.
Yep.
That was presented to council based on what finance gave us, and then what the trust lawyers provided us legal advice on, and based on the information that was shared, the council felt comfortable with those two amounts. I'm going to be putting out a fact sheet. Did you know, blah, blah, blah. Did you know, da, da, da. So that's being created. I have a bunch of information here that's going to be shared.
Do you have any time limit on that fact sheet that you're going to be sharing?
Well, it's going to be our communication guys, so I'm going to say probably not till the first week of August.
Okay.
Somewhere maybe mid-July.
Okay.
I do want to tell you because that got shared today. I was supposed to be in Manitoulin Island with the Chiefs of Trustees on the RHT, but I couldn't go because there was other meetings I had to attend. But on July 31st, the law firm that litigated for the last 18 years for the settlement is going to come to Garden River, and they're going to talk to the members about the whole start from the litigation, how they started, what they've done, how they got to where they got, how they got to the 10 billion, and what the settlement actually means. So that law firm.
Guess what? I got insight already on that.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I got a text message from my father today,
Good.
and he told me, and he said Garden River's first on the list for that meeting.
And when I was at the last Chiefs of Trustees meeting, the Nagalbo Corbier said that they committed to going to all the 21 nations. Right away, my hand went up and said, "Look, you got to start in the east or the west side, which is Batchewana, Garden River, and then move down, because our community is thirsting for information, and you need to provide. Our trustee is hit and miss, so they're not getting the information that's required for them to understand what's going on. So I'm glad that you got that information. So it is the 31st.
Okay. As far as would you talk to your council about, or can you get me into this time for sure, a meeting with council, chief and council at your next working meeting, as far as being able to ask some questions to have a referendum vote for the people?
Why can't you do that at a monthly meeting?
Would you allow that to happen?
You can ask for that.
Okay, the only thing that worries me about the monthly meeting is the fact of if only 3 councillors show up and we don't have enough people to, to say matter.
Okay, I don't know if you have somebody that could help you with this, but could you put,
A motion?
not a motion, it's called a briefing note.
Okay.
Just say, I, Renee, am requesting, with the support of, whomever, you don't even have to name them, and just say that we would like to have a conversation with the chief and council on these items, and you name the items.
Okay.
And so at least when they say, oh, chief, we have a member who wants to have something on the agenda. And I'm looking, okay, 'cause everything that goes on the agenda has to have a briefing note and provide so that the council can look at it before we come to the meeting, and so they can think about it before you just say, vote. Like, no, this proper way to do governance is give us the information, let us think about it, and then when we come to the table, we have a little bit of a discussion. You present the document, you speak on it, and you ask, and we'll put it up for a decision. So
Okay.
then they'll have time to have said, okay, there's quorum, when we have a meeting, there's always a quorum.
Okay.
So when the briefing note is presented by yourself, they'll have already had time to look at it, and they've already had time to make a decision, where then you can say, I'm looking for a decision on this.
As far as the results of the vote when it comes to the chief of council, am I allowed to stick around to see who says yay or nay on that decision, or is that going to be in camera at that point?
You can make a request to have it out of camera. You can
Okay.
request to have it in an open meeting.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd like to have it in an open meeting,
Yes.
so that this is transparent and I can share it.
Okay. So what if your council says no to giving us a referendum vote on the legacy trust? What would you suggest as my chief to be the next thing to do as far as be able to give those answers to the people as far as what they want to have a vote? What would you say to do? What would
Vote on what?
the referendum vote for the legacy trust?
Oh, well, I would say that the vote is not, the vote to take $200 million out of that legacy is not an option. It's locked in.
You already locked it in?
It's already been locked in by your council.
When's the date of that? Because I feel like they're not telling us the truth, and I think this information has to be put out to the people.
$200 million has been moved from the general account to the legacy trust, or the interim legacy trust it's locked in. We can't take it back now. The parameters around that, I'm sure you've seen the trust document. In that, once the money gets in there, you can't just remove it.
So what are you adding, just stipulations to the money now?
So what we're and this is the lawyers that are working with us on the trust. We're supposed to be here tomorrow, but because they were drafting a document to deal with the miners on their portions.
Mm-hmm.
So they drafted the document, they moved it up to BMO, and then BMO's internal legal team have to ensure that everything is suitable to a banking financial institution. So they haven't returned that document to the law firm yet. So we postponed this meeting until next week with the law firm. Because we want to say, we're not going to bring you here tomorrow and then bring you back next week. That's too stupid to do that. We have to pay for 2 lawyers to come here from Toronto to help us with this stuff. So they're going to do that next week, and then I'll have all the documents, hopefully by then. I know I got an email from Yvonne, and I talked to her on the phone a couple times actually.
Well, if it's private information, I don't think we should share that.
No, it's not private.
Did she give you permission to share that though, Karen?
Well, she didn't say you have permission.
Well, then I don't want to hear what she has to say in there, not to be rude.
Okay.
Okay, so...
Well, I'm going to do that. Like I said, I'm putting out a fact sheet, and it's going to be, did you know,
Yeah.
that we give out this much money? Do you know that we have 3,577 registered citizens for Garden River? Did you know we have 1,962 eligible voters in this First Nation?
Okay.
Did you know that we have a trust? Did you know that this document is going to be shared?
Okay.
And did you know that Garden River put in $200 million into a legacy trust, and that amount is gonna gain $7.5 million every year.
Could you tell the people that you locked it in
Yeah.
into legacy? And also, did you know that when you promised the people the percentages outside in one of my first protests, when you come up with the 75-35, and excuse me for laughing at that, Karen, because I know you just winged it that day and you were just yelling out numbers, but
I said we could. I said we could do 70-35. I didn't say I promised 70-35. I said I recall that conversation, and I recall we could do 65-40. We could do 75-35. I didn't say I promised to do one or the other.
okay. So do you know what the meaning of collective means?
Absolutely, I do.
Where's the collective to as far as the people that didn't have say in this?
In what?
As far as the collective, the money for the collective, which is the people's money, where was our say in this whole process?
Yeah. Did you know that Garden River Chief and Council got voted in to make these high-level decisions, governance decisions? Did you know that Garden River Council also has a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that the best interests of the nation come first and foremost?
Did you know that the people's opinions matter and they should be heard?
Yes, and they have been heard through all those engagements that Robert Peace did.
The 20 people that were there, possibly the most amount of people there, because I was at almost every one of those meetings that you're referring to. That is not a big population of people,
Yeah.
you know, Karen. So I did get some advice from an elder from a different reserve, and they actually put the 18 and unders money into personal accounts so that it gains its own interest. Did Chester Langell report that to Garden River First Nation and the people?
No, not another nation did it, no.
Yeah, because that's what I think people are upset about too, because that money should be able to make their own interest on their own children's money.
It doesn't matter what financial institution it goes to. There's 5 major banking institutions in the country, and all 5 have the same lending, the same interest rates.
I'm talking about personal personal accounts. Every 18-year-old and under should have their own bank accounts where you lock it in till that age that they're allowed it, and then they collect their own interest on it.
Well, it is locked in.
But it's a collective. It's a whole. It's a big amount.
Oh, I
where
see.
you guys are taking the interest.
No, we're not taking any interest.
Okay, could
I
you
don't
explain
understand
that?
Yeah, I'll have to, because, I'm looking at this document, and the total interest from priority 2 and 3 payments was $3,854,730. So we're not hanging on to this. This is information. This is the total interest of it, and then I'm looking at. The priority 2 came in at 21.3 million. Priority 3 came at 221.1 million. The interest accrued to date was 3.8 million for a total of $246.2 million that we've gotten. Like, it's not like we're hiding money. Like, I'm gonna share all that stuff though. I'm gonna share it out on the portal.
Is this an updated one, Karen? Is that an updated, most recent financial report?
Hang on now. And I'm collecting all this, and I'm going to be sharing it. And, we did have 2 referendums for the leadership selection law, and they got turned down both times. One of them was in 2019. We put it out to the community to see if they would be interested in having a leadership selection law and not following the Indian Act. In 2019, it got rejected. In 2022, it got rejected.
So did the last council, or did you guys follow through with the new election? What is it? Well, you guys aren't under the you changed the election code or whatever.
We're still under the Indian Act.
Okay,
we're still under a different statute, and that's another thing. I looked it up because I remember somebody mentioning that, and your mother signed this BCR.
Okay.
She signed this BCR in April 13, 2023, to adopt the First Nation Election Act. So she was one of the councillors that signed it.
Yeah, she did tell me about that, and she told me that she was more forced into signing that because
Well,
there was no fight at that table at the time.
well, she did sign it though.
Yep.
And you have to own up to the things that you sign up to.
Since we're talking about that, Karen, the motion that somebody asked as far as who said yes to, what was Donna Solomon's question now? She wanted who said yes to, I don't know if it was to locking 200,000 or 200 million away, or who said yes to the $10,000.
I'd have to see if those were in camera. If those are in camera motions, I can't share them with the public.
You can't?
No, not if they're in camera.
Okay,
But
so
I
we'll
have to
never
see-
get
I
that
don't
information,
know.
eh?
I don't know if it is.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna have to check to see if they were in camera meetings or in camera decisions. If they were not, I can share them, but if they were in camera decisions, I can't share those with anybody. But I'm gonna regroup back on what you were mentioning there.
Okay.
So, as of March 31, 2025, and this is going to be shared on the portal too, Gardner transferred $200 million into that legacy trust. So as of March 31st, 2025, currently available for PCD is $36,190,394.99. And that's where we came up with the decision of 10,000 when we have 3,577 people that we have to pay. We don't have any more money to give more. And that's where that figure came from. When the council made the decision to put on $200 million into the legacy, that money got locked in. So what's left of it? That's what's left of it.
So are you going to give the people say on the stipulations as far as the money and what we do with the legacy trust?
Yeah, we haven't developed it yet. So I know they put finance, we just had a managers meeting. The finance said they put out a posting for an RHT person, and that person, hopefully, whoever this person is, gets hired. They're going to be doing all this stuff. So that takes me away from and puts me to where I'm supposed to be concentrating on, which is governance and chief's duties. So this person will be gathering all that information. They'll gather all that information that Robert Peace did and sharing it with the community. We're going to be doing engagement sessions, saying, hey, the money's locked in, and what would you like to see done with this money? Do you want an elders facility? Do you want a school? Do you want a recreational facility? Do you want more housing? Do you want to put money into an area where people that live off the reserve and say they live in Sault Ste. Marie and they pass away, we don't have money to bring them home. We could do that with this kind of money, Or we have elders that own their own homes, and because we don't have funding to repair their roof or give them a new furnace, we could do those kinds of things. There's a lot of things that are not supported. We could, instead of giving them just $1,000, the post-secondary students $1,000 every month to live, we could give them $2,000 instead of having barely enough money to even live away. If they decide to go away to school somewhere.
Yeah.
We could give them those kind of, or I talked to the chief of Chippewa-Thames, Joel Mushkokum, and he told me that they had a land claim settlement, and I can't remember what the figure is. Well, I know what the figure is, $1,000. I think that they give, I don't know if it was every couple of months, they give $1,000 to everybody over the age of 65, just no questions asked, here you go, have a great day. Do you know that Garden River is currently litigating the legal fee of $500 million that Naugaba Corbier took from all the 21 nations?
Yes.
Garden River and Atikameksheng are saying, hey, wait a minute, you took too much money from the beneficiaries. If we're successful in the fall, it could mean anywhere between 20 to 35 or $40 million back to Garden River.
And you're going to give it to the
And
people,
you know
right?
what? I'm going to make a recommendation I don't have a vote, but I'm going to make a recommendation to council and say, look at council, when Garden River stuck their necks out and decided to support a tick machine, we shared that with the community. They know that we're doing this. I would like to, and I really hope that you support this, that we're gonna say, thank you, Garden River, for supporting this, and because you supported it, we got $25-30 million back. So, you know what, we're gonna give them everybody another $7,000. Like these, do you know that we're litigating, we did submit and file a lawsuit against the Pennefather Treaty, because they made our boundaries smaller than was supposed to. If we're successful, we're gonna get way more than what we got for the western boundary. You know, and did you know that we have a western boundary? We have 12 point something million dollars in that western boundary account right now, and there is a BCR that says before that money gets touched, it has to go to a referendum with the community. So that money's still sitting there. It hasn't been touched. Like, there's a lot of moving parts. Did you know that Garden River is negotiating with Hydro One for electricity to a new electric line to come through Garden River to go to the arc furnace from Sudbury, and it's a multi-million-dollar negotiations we're doing at the hydro company right now. That could be more injection into the community, more. So there's lots of other things going on than just the RHT. There's lots of moving parts, Renee. There's lots of opportunities for more dollars to come into this nation, and it's not just for Garden River on reserve, because I don't even live on the reserve, and I tell people that I get it. You know, that people say, well, it's not our money, you guys use it all for the reserve. Well, no, it's not, because at the end of the day, I'm one of those people that live off the reserve. I'm one of those people that know that, you know, if I was a student, I wouldn't get the support that lots of students get that live here. So let's do it that way. Let's say, you know what, we're gonna give every student this much, and no questions asked, wherever you may live.
Well,
Here's the things.
Here's the thing is, like, I'm not an elder and I'm not a student, so in my category, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
You know, I am on disability, and you know why a drunk driver hit me head on. So basically, I would need some help with shoveling my stairs or something like that. But now we think about the off reserve people. Really, what do they get to, what's the advantages they get for living off reserve? And you know the percentages that actually live off reserve, you know?
Yeah.
So we're not thinking about the collective at that point, and that kind of upsets me.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't want to be, in that word, selfish. I don't want to be a selfish person when we are the band. We are the people of the band, you know? We're the one that builds this band and makes it a band, you know?
Yeah.
So basically, that's where my thoughts are, and I think at that council table, you have to think about everyone, and the whole collective is the word that they use, and I think that's very important.
Yeah, so I can tell you that no matter where you live, if you're a band member of Garden River, you do apply for that non-insured benefits. So if you live in London and you have to go to Ottawa for a hospital visit, Garden River receives funding dollars to support you to go there. You don't have to live in Garden River.
No, I was referring to the $200 million in the Legacy Trust. Is what benefits are they gonna gain?
Well, they may gain it by, like I said, we haven't set out the parameters of it yet, but we may decide that we're going to give, out of that money, we're going to give an extra $1,000 for every student. They doesn't have to live in Garden River. We may decide to say, look, you know what? We're gaining $7.5 million every year. Let's share it with everybody. You know, there's another benefit of buying into this. There's, I know ISETs, they support, if you live in Toronto and you want to take a program, you don't have to live in Garden River to take it. You can get it funded through Garden River. Like, there's different things. I can't name everything off the top of my head, but there are other avenues and other things that we are supporting our off-reserve members for.
Do you know exact date, Karen, when that motion was put to the table to lock that money in? Like, how long has it been locked into this Legacy Trust now?
It hasn't been that long.
It hasn't been that long?
No.
Were you actually at the meeting?
Yeah, I had chaired the meeting.
Okay. And are you allowed to say how many people actually passed that?
I don't remember.
Okay. All right.
And are you recording this?
Yes.
Because you didn't ask my consent to.
I was told by a lawyer and a police officer that I didn't need
Because
consent.
if you're doing that, then, you know, I may second guess about having conversations with you again.
But as our political leader, should you not
But you should be asking me this, not asking me and recording me. You could have said I'm recording you, and I would be okay with that. But
Yes.
you're doing surreptitiously.
I asked you last time in our meeting and you wouldn't allow me to do it.
Yeah.
So as far as our people getting answers, I don't know how else to get them from you.
Yeah. Well, you could ask them in an open public forum at the monthly meeting. Have a whole list of questions, and I would answer you the same way as I'm doing right now.
I know, but I can't promise that you guys are going to be there for the people and answer our questions. Like, that's what
I've only missed one monthly meeting.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I'm not just talking about you, Karen.
No.
I'm talking about the whole council
Well,
table.
I can't predict if they show up or they don't show up. They all know that it's the first Tuesday of every month.
Yeah.
And that's part of your duties as a counselor, to attend 2 monthly meetings and one community meeting on top of once in a while special meetings. But I can't force anybody to do that because we don't have a leadership selection law.
Okay.
You know, the voters voted no to it.
Okay. Another thing was Chester Langell sits on our RHT. He's the
He's a
chairman,
trustee.
right?
He's
Okay.
a trustee.
Trustee. Okay, so I did contact them, the RHT, and I can't pronounce that big long word. I want to find out as far as his attendance there, because he's representing Garden River at this point. And another role of his was to bring information back to Garden River First Nations members. I feel that he hasn't been meeting those obligations. So basically, if he can't meet those obligations, I would like to bring it to the table, also Chief of Council table, to get him removed as our trustee.
Well, actually, that would be a decision at the table. But
Okay.
you could advocate to your council members
Yes.
and say, look at, you know, I don't, as a council member, as a band member, I don't feel the trustees attending enough meetings or responding back to the community with information. And can you really bring that up at your meetings and maybe have a discussion on that, on where we're moving or how we're moving forward on this.
Okay.
That's the easiest way I can say, because at the end of the day, the decision to move the trustee would have to come from the governance table.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't even know where I'm going from here. I need to really sit back and think, because I didn't realize this money was locked in. I think that the information wasn't out there. It should have been out there to the people, and I'm really upset about it, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
It's very upsetting, because I feel that maybe we were misled, that it wasn't locked in yet. I know it was put in the trust. Now locking it in is a different story.
Yeah, and this document was shared quite a while ago with, it was at the back table of one of the monthly meetings, this money, or this document, right here. Yeah, this document was on the table at a monthly meeting quite a while ago.
With the numbers on it?
With everything that's there?
Yeah, I have a copy.
Yeah, it was there.
Yeah, but those numbers changed now, eh? But that doesn't
Well,
say.
they changed because of the interest.
But that paper doesn't say that the money was locked in. It never ever said that.
No, but it does say that the legacy trust amount of $200 million will gain approximately $7.5 million annually.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, because this changes the whole dynamics now, as far as giving the people say in anything except for the stipulations of the legacy trust.
yeah. Well, like I just told you, Renee, people voted for the people that sit at that table. You elected them to make these kinds of decisions. You know, those decisions involve making the most responsible decision in the best interests of the band as a whole, which means securing the use of funds for the future as well. And they made that decision. And I can't tell you exactly the date that was, but the money has been moved to the legacy or the interim trust, and it's been locked in.
Okay.
And now we are gonna go to the community, or not me personally, but the governance is gonna hire this RHT person, or person's gonna get hired, and he's going, or she, are gonna engage the community members and say, here's this money, how do you wanna see the money being utilized? Where would you like to see the money go? And there'll be lots of influx of answers and suggestions, and based on all of those, that's what consultation is. It's reaching out, talk to you, how would you like to see the money spent? Would you like, and I mentioned a couple of things. And from there, the information gets gathered, and it will be presented in a package to your council.
All right.
And the council, at the end of the day, I sit there as a chairperson, and I say, here's our agenda, do you approve it, like any other board chairperson or anything, and approve the agenda, and we go through items, and they go through a discussion, and if it's for a vote, I put it up for a vote based on quorum. If it meets quorum, then the vote gets passed and carried. If not, it gets
denied. Yeah.
Denied.
Yeah.
The BCR does not meet the threshold, and it's been denied. We don't. Yeah.
Okay.
But I can tell you that a quorum of council approved the $200 million to be moved into the trust
Okay. I'm very upset about
for the
that.
benefit of the
Yeah.
entire 3,577 people that are listed on our registry list.
7 people, except for you, right? Or is there 7 counselors? Yeah.
There's 7
people.
counselors. Yeah, I don't know if all counselors, I don't know, I don't remember. I
Okay.
can just tell you it was a quorum.
Okay. Can you find if that motion was in camera? If not, can you share that publicly on the sites, please?
Yeah, like I
Okay.
said, I'm gonna do a big fact sheet, so.
Yeah. I think the more information you put out there for your people and the more that we could shut down rumors and stuff.
Yeah. 200. Yeah, yeah, the money's, and I just had the managers meeting, with, the managers, and said, if money is not open for discussion now, because it's locked into a trust. It's open for discussion on what we do with it, but it's not open sitting in Garden River's bank account, it's now in a trust.
Okay.
The only thing that's currently sitting in that trust was, like I said, that almost 40 million. And when you divide 40 million times 305,000 or 3,577 people, we can't give out any more than 10,000.
Okay, so are you saying the financial report basically will read, we only got 200 million left and it's in the locked in the legacy trust and there's no extras right now besides the interest gaining?
Something like that.
Okay.
Something like that. There's a little bit more than that. And this document, I'm going to get them to change it a little bit
Okay.
so that it makes it more legible, because they scribbled all over it. And even I said, how do you expect our members to read this?
Yeah, really.
And I said, no, I want this placed in a document format so that people can see. Our first payment, this is what came in. We ended up in our first payment, $396.8 million. We gave out $375.3 million. The left money that was left was $21.5 million. We paid, we have money set aside to pay minors, that's 0 to 18, $76.3 million. People that are 21 years of age and over who have not claimed their money yet is $20.4 million. And the fees from the trust, because it costs money to do business, and so BMO is making $58,000 off of us.
So how long does somebody actually have to apply for that money, for the 110 and 10,000?
Yeah. Well, we haven't put a stipulation on the 10,
Okay.
but we did on the 110.
Okay.
And it says right here, the interim trust, and everybody who's a member has access to that interim trust. The interim trust indicates there's a 10-year time period to claim a PCD.
So in 10 years, Karen, where does that money go back to? And is it the people's money, or is it, how are we going to deal with that? In 10 years, the chief and council will deal with it?
I don't know what the interim trust says.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll have to look at what it says. I can't remember. But if the person does not claim their money, and it has to be from September 9th, 2023, so fast forward to September 9th, whatever the year may be, 10 years from now, of last year, if they haven't collected their money, this money goes, I guess, redirected to, I don't know, you'd have to look at the trust.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm definitely gonna let everyone know what's going on out there because they deserve it.
Yeah,
I don't know the feedback, Karen.
that's fine.
I wish council luck on that because I cannot speak for them. But I know personally I'm very upset about it, about not having a say basically in the process.
Well, see, this is what people don't understand, and that's why Navalbo Corbier is coming here at the end of July. This money was never for individual people. This money was for the chief and the nation. It didn't say the chief and all the people within the nation, like the treaty. You guys got to think about that when you're making those kind of decisions or making those kinds of comments. It's not that when the treaty was signed, it didn't say the chief and all the 400 members that he has in his band. It was for the chief and the nation. That was what said in the treaty. Fast forward to that settlement agreement, which I have a copy of it somewhere. Right here. No, that's not it. I do have it somewhere. The settlement agreement. But within the settlement agreement, it says for the collective good of the nation. It doesn't say for individual people. So, and we were told that when I first got in as the chief, we were told very strongly by the RTLF and the law firm that all 21 nations are getting $396.8 million, and then the second distribution is based on population. So everybody gets the same amount of money. What you do with that money, we can't tell you what to do with it, but it's for your nation and the collective good of your nation.
Yeah, I think this was said if it was said at the beginning and actually explained, I don't think we'd be here right now.
Yeah. Well,
No.
It was shared multiple times. I know that it was shared at monthly meetings, and it was shared. I don't even know where the settlement agreement is. Maybe it's this big thick thing. But anyway, it's been on a portal. I said, read it, read the treaty, read the settlement agreement. It doesn't say it's for everybody. It says for the collective good of the nation. And I know when I got in and it was explained to me like that, I came back and I shared that information. So if you didn't read it, I don't know what to say, but the information was provided to the people. This is not individual people's money.
Okay.
And I know people feel that way and they think that way, but when that law firm comes here, they're going to explain that once again, that this money was not for individual people. It was for the collective good of your nation. And if your chief and council decided to give a per capita, kudos for them. But if they decided to keep it all and for the benefit and collective good of the whole nation, well, that's the decision that they made. Garden River chose to be fiduciary responsible, but also minimize litigation, because there's some communities out there currently that gave out a lot of money and they're being litigated right now. We have a lawyer on our council, but we also hire lawyers to assist us to prevent that litigation, to minimize anybody coming to litigate us if in the event that we made some sort of irrational decision. And so far, from the comments we're getting, the recommendations, the opinions we're getting from lawyers is that we're doing the best we can to minimize that litigation potential happening to Garden River. So that's what they've made their decisions based on all those cumulative things.
Yeah, I don't know how chief of council works as far as money wise. Where do you actually get the money to pay for all these lawyers? What pocket does that come out of?
That comes out of ISK dollars.
Oh, ISK.
Yeah.
What is actually ISK used on? Different things like that,
They
or
give you operational funds.
operational funds? Okay. And what is operational funds usually used on? Like, is it like what's that usually used on? Like, do they realize it's all on mostly on legal advice?
Pretty much, yeah.
Hello, Chief. Sorry to
Hi.
interrupt. We have Nancy Pine outside waiting
Okay.
for you.
Okay.
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 Yeah.
Fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe these are questions you should ask your mother,
Okay.
since she sat on council for a long time.
Okay.
She probably know
The
those.
ISK dollars.
The kind of information. But I'm not the finance person in the organization.
Yes.
There is administrative dollars that
Okay.
are allocated. So that kind of money comes forward. I actually have an OFNLP meeting on the 26th in Toronto. That's an AGM.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about money that goes to the nations as part of the Casino-Rama dollars and what they're used for. And we do give out audit, we do have audit presentations. People, if you want to know what's going on financially within the organization, you should be attending these audit sessions.
Okay.
Because BDO has been the auditors for the last 20 years for Garden River. They present an audit every year. Every year other than COVID. But they present an audit to the community on where the money's been spent, and they say it's a clean audit. Does the memberships know? And I sent this out too, that Garden River hired KPMG to do a forensic audit on the finances of Garden River.
Is there a result of the forensic audit
Not yet.
Do you know how long?
Yeah, they told us it was going to be lengthy. They got to go through multiple volumes and volumes and volumes of documents. So they said, don't expect this to be in 1 year. You'll be lucky if it comes through in 2 years. But they're doing a whole collective on the financial situation of Garden River. So it's not like I'm not doing I don't think, in my opinion, that I'm allowing just things to go willy-nilly around here.
Okay.
I'm being responsible. I just, I had to say no to many things here. Said no, that was the past practices. I'm sorry. We're not doing it this way this time. We're changing how we're doing business. I want to ensure that there's fairness, and the way we're doing it, we hired a KPMG to do a forensic audit, so people know where the money's being spent. It's not my money. It's not your money. It's the entire nation's money. So those kinds of things. We get budgets. We've had a budget presentation. Finally got passed. So now the departments can say, okay, now I know this is the amount of money that I get in this calendar year, and this is what I'm going to use it for, and so this stuff all gets approved.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you had a conversation with your mother, she could probably explain those kinds of parameters and decisions that get done. But there is audits. Audits are presented to Garden River.
Okay.
And I just have the community trust board president coming in here.
Yeah.
On the community trust, because there's another, $4 million that's sitting there for different things within the community, but because it doesn't meet the threshold of voters, they can't move forward with anything.
Mm-hmm.
So the money just sits there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think our people are very important and not feeling important as far as major decisions, and I know Chief of Council could add us in on that. Your choice is not to, and I think the people need to know that, and that's it. That's said and done.
Well, I'm going to beg to differ.
Okay.
I'm going to say that this ratification, this update, this knowledge, in my 3 terms as a councillor, before I became chief, this is the most information that's ever been pushed out by a chief and council.
Okay, well, that's
and
awesome.
I don't know why people are saying they're not being updated. We have a portal, we have a website, we have a newsletter, we have a Facebook site. Like, there's lots of information being shared, and I don't know why people are saying they don't get any information. You are. I'm going to be updating very soon with this fact sheet. There's going to be 20 to 30 did you knows on there. This information is coming out. The last time we met, you asked for A, B, C, and D, and they all got answered.
Yes.
There's no reason why somebody can't call or come and knock on the door like you do.
Yeah.
Say, hey, Chief, do you have a couple minutes? I'd like to ask this kind of a question. I'll answer it. I'm not somebody to back away and not answer questions. If you want to know, and if I can provide them and they're not in camera or they're not confidential or breaking somebody's personal information, then I can share it.
Okay.
I don't have any information. There's a moratorium on membership right now. So there's a bunch of people sitting in the queue waiting to become members. But because we don't have a proper membership code, then until we hire and get it renewed and updated, they put a moratorium on it. So we've done an RFP to a couple of law firms to come in and revamp that whole membership code so that
Yeah.
we can have an updated membership code that are not breaching people's rights or
Mhm.
potentially breaching people's rights, because it was drafted way back in '85 and lots of things have changed in '85. I know because of my personal background that I'm very conscious of people's rights, not only the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, but also the Ontario Rights and Freedoms. I understand that. I did that in my previous life. I had to make sure that I worked in parameters of policies and procedures, and that's what I'm trying to do. But I'm only one person. I have to have staff to help me do these things too, right? And we don't have as many key staff members as we had before. We put postings out, people gotta pay attention to them. If you wanna work for the nation, look, we're always submitting application or information, not application, but postings for positions.
Here's the question is, basically, the post that was brought out, and no one signed on this, Karen, it was about the protest when we first started protesting. And there was a letter put out to, I know, memo to the staff, and it said not to engage with the protests and protesters. Do you actually, could you tell me where that letter come from? As far as like who put that out there to the band members, as far as your employees?
I'm assuming the head person for the employees. There is policies around those kinds of things, and if you're working, you can't go out there and start demonstrating.
Yeah.
You have to take the day off, if anything, minimum. I know that's all I can say. I don't know what else to say about it.
Okay.
It got placed on the portal, and you know, for the safety and the well-being of the members, you have to be conscious of that.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
I know your next meeting's here, so I want to appreciate and say thank you so much for meeting
Okay.
with me today, and you'll definitely see me in the future.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Karen.